Okay, hey guys, it is Evan from Charlie Company Productions, and today it's going to be a decal tutorial. That's right, we're going to show you how I decal, me personally. There's tons of different ways. This is how I do it. This is how I believe you can get the best looking figures. It's not the fastest, it's not the cheapest, but I think it's the best looking figures. There is a step that I can't do right now since I don't have any. It's basically clear coating at the end. I don't do that with most of my decals, since I use setting solution, which basically it doesn't make them permanent, but it helps. So I would use aerosol kind of clear coat, but I don't have that now. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be recreating my German Winter Einsatzgruppen figure, which is basically Soviet-Russian paratrooper, World War II, on white. Because Russian paratroopers, how many planes did they really have? So we're going to be recreating this camo. This segment is going to be on torso and basic and brassoing kind of stuff. So this is the figure we're going to start off with. As you can see, we need to get that printing off, and then we can start. So I'm just going to go right into it. So first thing you're going to need to do is disassemble your figure. So this is going to be brassoing and the torso. So you're going to want to disassemble your figure, and I'll just take apart the legs since we need to do that in the future anyway. And then I can move all these pieces back here out of the frame. And now you're left with this, which obviously has printing on it. So what I do, most people sand, or some people sand. I know Lando from Brickmania sands with a very fine sandpaper, which is great, and it's a lot faster for large armies especially. But I think that brassoing makes it a little more shiny and glossy, which I like personally. So Brasso is a metal polish, a brass metal polish, as you can see. Get this at Home Depot or Ace Hardware or something. And how you're going to want to use this is basically, and I'll shake it up a little bit first, is you're going to want to get a rag. This is like a piece of a white t-shirt. And you're going to want to lay it out sort of like this. You're going to want to open your Brasso. And careful, this stuff there's a lot, oh my gosh. This stuff has ammonia in it, so it smells really bad, and it's very toxic. So don't be, it's bad for you, so don't like inhale it or anything or eat it, obviously, and talk to your parents if you're young before using it. This is a lot, so this is way too much, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is just move some out of the way. Oh, that's gross, it's cold. Well, what do I expect? You're going to want to take the printing, whatever side you want to do first, put it on top, stretch out the whatever rag you're using, and just start going to town on rubbing it. And you should push pretty hard. I can't go as fast since I'm on a very shaky table. If I went fast, everything would shake, and I have water over there for the next part, which would spill everywhere. So normally I do this on the chair I'm sitting in right now, or on the floor or something. But as you can see, printing's already starting to come off. So if you do this for a while, I'm going to keep doing this until we have most or all of the printing off on this side, just to kind of show you that, yep, it's still coming off. And I'll push a little harder now. And it's basically just you do this over and over, and it's a lot slower than sanding, but if you can see, it still has that shine on the plastic. So I'm going to cut it here, and when I'm done with this brassoing, I'll come back to you. Okay guys, we're back, done brassoing. As you can see, very shiny and nice. Normally I would pick whatever side is shinier for the front, but it doesn't really matter. So you're going to want, now this is the actual decaling part. Now we're going to take your decals, and now you're going to decide which one you do first. Since we have all the parts, since we just did the torso, so let's do the front of the torso, which is this one right here. So now you're going to want to get that decal separated from all the other ones, obviously. So what I use is either a very small pair of scissors or X-Acto knife or a hobby knife. And as you can see, I'm on a cutting mat, which is like a professional, nice X-Acto knife cutting mat, so you don't cut, because you're going to cut through the decal. You don't want to scratch up your mom's table or your desk or your kitchen table or something, because, I mean, these knives are sharp, and they dig right into it. So what you're going to want to do is lightly go over the edges of it first. Very lightly. If I'm quiet here, it's because I'm concentrating. You're going to want to get as close to the edge of the decal as possible, because you don't want any extra hanging off the edge of the minifigure. And now we can go in a little harder and deeper and actually cut through the paper. Which I just went too deep there and it's stuck into the mat. So there we go. There's that. This mat also helps to slow down the blade for smoother, more intricate cuts, which I really like. And if I'm very loud right now, it's because I'm leaning over to get a better view of this, and I'm leaning my face very close to the microphone. So there we go. And then that should, in a sense, just pop out. Yep, looks like there's a little bit on the top there. Need to do, but otherwise should be free. I don't know if I went over the top well enough. There we go. That sounds like it freed it. One last spot. Very annoying with white paper. But there we go. Now as you can see, popped out, and you can see that's not an amazing shape. So what I'm going to do now is clean up little edges that don't really matter. And now the white color is going to be transparent. So you can use any color minifig you want. You could even make like a red camo, brown camo like this, or you could do any color you want. But since that doesn't look incredibly good, nor is it accurate, I'm going to do this white, because it's meant to go on sand green, but I'm going to do white. So now I'm going to size it up to the torso. Now, first of all, I'm going to need to cut it close to the strap here so it actually fits on the shoulder part. And then I'm going to keep sizing it up. That looks good. And if you notice, it hangs over because the bottom part of the camo there goes onto this piece. If you can see right here, kind of where the camo goes. So now what you're going to want to do is start to apply your decal. So I'm going to put this away in a safe spot since it's very sharp. And then you're going to get water. Now, in a container, and I've seen people use Tupperware. I've seen people use like tall water glasses, and I've seen people just pour a little puddle on it, which gets messy over time. And I use distilled water because there's less toxic things to harm the decal, but it really doesn't matter. You can use any kind of water you want. And I use a shallow, light, small little bowl. As you can see, my hand is huge compared to this bowl. It's probably, well, it's like 3 inches in diameter or something. And it's very shallow, which is something I used to use water cups and fill them up quite a bit. And if you drop the decal in there, it goes all the way to the bottom, and it's really hard to get out, and sometimes you ruin the decal. So this is what I use, and then a very damp piece of paper towel with distilled water. This is also just another reminder, this is my way of doing it. Then you're gonna then I use this, which is, you can order it online or you can get it at your a local hobby shop. Microsol, which is basically setting solution. It basically makes it look printed or painted on or a lot nicer. And I'm sorry if you can hear bugs and birds in the background. My window's open and it's summer. So I use this. It's $4 for this little thing, but it lasts you like 200 minifigures. I think I've done 2 vehicles and 40 figs, It's only gone, or not 40, but like 20, and it's gone down to there. So, and then to paint that on, I use a paintbrush with soft, very soft bristles. Don't use tough bristles or hard bristles. Use something very soft and gentle and nice, and don't use a crappy watercolor paintbrush like that you get in those Crayola sets. Then I also use a Q-tip. You'll see why in a second. And a small pair of tweezers. These aren't my normal nice tweezers, but I can't find those, so these work very well. This is from a small Swiss Army knife. And then I use the blade part. And you'll also see why in a second. So, what you're going to want to do first is take your decal. You want to take your tweezers and hold it by one of the corners. Doesn't really matter where. I like holding it by one of the clear spots. I'm going to do a quick check to make sure it looks good. And it doesn't need to look beautiful because it's going to go in the figure and it's going to look nice when it's there. Then you're going to want to dip it into the water for, I don't know, 10 seconds. So I'm going to wait a few more seconds. It doesn't need to be perfect. I mean, this is just to make sure it's all soaked. So I'd say that's good. And then you want to kind of lift it up, flip it over, and then use your finger to press down the back of the decal onto the damp paper towel. And then let that sit for a little while. And while that's sitting, I'm going to talk about the fact that I have these other packs of decals and where you get decals. This is how decals look. Obviously, you saw where I cut it from. And you get them from brickmania.com. If you look over here, this is brickmania.com/decals and transfers. And you can buy all sorts of decals, anything from modern. These are all decal packs. See, there's a lot of them. There's zombie, Russian, Stalingrad, Russian infantry, World War II, modern, camo, amazing stuff. And there's even a sample pack. I don't know if they sell it online, but it's a sample pack of like all the World War II decals, like Russian, Japanese, all that stuff. That's a good just to see what you like. And so that's where you get decals. So now I believe it is ready for application. So what you're going to want to do is take your figure, open your settings solution, unscrew the top. I know you can't see this. Take your brush and dip maybe up to there in settings solution. You don't need a lot. Like a little bit covers quite a bit of surface. And that should be good. And then you're going to want to basically paint it on so it's covering every spot of it, even down there. And see if I can get this to focus a little better. There you go. Now you can see that watery sheen kind of thing. And then I'm going to set the brush here. Then I'm going to pick up the decal. And now I know Nathan hates when I do this, but I slide it off with my thumb. But then instead of carrying it with my fingers, because I don't like touching it, I put it onto a knife, and sometimes you can pull it off, kind of, or lift it up like that. So now this is the decal itself. Now the glue is on the back, and now you're going to want to gently apply it. And then you can move it around to wherever you want, and wherever it looks good with a Q-tip. I'm going to do this off screen here. So I can make sure I can see it and make sure it looks perfect. And I'm going to grab my other figure here so I can see. Yep, that looks good. And you'll get the hang of this the more you do. Torsos are the easiest, you'll find, and then stuff like the arms is very hard. Boonie hats are very difficult to decal, but there is packs for it. I can see if I can find one if I scroll around here. Here's one. You can see those are the Boonie decals. It's really kind of difficult. I believe there's Lando from Brickmania. He also has videos on how to decal. Shows you how. So now that it's pretty much dry, I'm going to take a little more setting solution and paint it over the top and around the sides of the decal to make sure it gets under the edges. make sure it looks awesome. Because that's the whole point of this, right? Looking awesome. So that's the front of the torso done. And you're going to do the same on the back. And you're going to let this dry, and you can either let it dry and sit there until you can't see the water anymore, or you're going to let it sit there overnight, or you can use a hair dryer or a heat gun, but don't melt your plastic, obviously. Hold it in your hands. If it's too hot for your hands, it's way too hot for the decal. That's a tip I learned from Lando. Again, he's the guy who does decals at Brickmania. And you let that dry, and then you can do the other side. And I'll do the other side off camera since it's basically the same as the front. And yeah, I don't think you guys want to see me do it again. So, thank you for watching the first part, and this is probably going to be the end of the first part of the video. The next video will be probably on legs. And legs and bottom little of the hip piece. So, what I mean by bottom, I mean there's even camo in between the legs, and that's what I'm talking about. So, legs in that next video. Thank you very much for watching part 1 of how to decal or how I decal.